first chapter, sorry, the first verse of the 13th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Idam sariram kaunteya kshetramitya vidiyate etadyo vittitang prahu kshetrajna iti tad vidaha. So Bhagavan is kind of indicating to Arjuna, because he's sort of very keen on understanding this whole thing. And Bhagavan, Adveshta, Sarva Bhutatma, all that, he has given some indications about the Nirguna Upasakas, those who are beyond Raga and Dvesha, and they are Samabhava Panna Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha, on Anapekya Sutirdakya Udasino Gatavyatha Sarvarambha Parityagi Yo Mada Bhakta Sami Priyaha. Bhagavan has very elaborately mentioned the symptoms, the indications of who is one who is a Nirguna Upasaka. Subhasva Parityagi Bhakti Manyaha Sami Priyaha Na Hrishyati Na Dveshti. There is no Harsha or Vishada. Sama Satruja Mitreja Tatha Mana Pamanayoho. It's all talking about equanimity and balance in Shitosna Sukha Dukheshu Samaha Sangha Vivarjidaha Tulya Ninda Stutir Mauni Santushta Yena Kenachit Aniketah Stiramatihir Bhaktiman Me Priyo Naraha. So, having mentioned all that, now Bhagavan is giving a clear roadmap for ways in which a person who wants to be a Nirguna Upasti after he has perfected Saguna Upasana, whom in order to motivate Arjuna glorified as Yukta Tamaha, as Yoga Vittamaha. Bhagavan kind of gave a bonus point to these people who are Saguna Upasakas. Why? Because Saguna Upasana is the staircase for Nirguna Jnana, Dhyana, all these paryayas which will start first Dhyana, then Jnana. So in order for all these steps to be possible, he sort of mentioned that. But then how do you meditate on the self? What is Kshetra, which means this field, the Sarira, the Jada Varga, and the Chaitana Varga. The Chaitana is only one, but it appears as multiples, and that is the Kshetrajna. He has kind of dealt with it in the chapter 7, mentioning what is the Paraprakriti and what is the Aparaprakriti. But here he is elaborating the mysteries that he has mentioned in chapter 7 and 9, partly also in 8. He is elaborating that in Treyadosa Adhyaya, which is very much focused on very intricate arguments of Vedanta. So we have already known by our discussion in the previous satsang that it's very easy to refute that this body is the Atma or the Kshetrajna. The body cannot be Atma because we say my body is not good. I have ill health. My body is having pain, which means there is somebody else to say this. Similarly, it cannot be the mind, the Indriyas, because we say that my eyes are not good. My eyes cannot see. My ears cannot hear very well. Therefore, someone else is there which is saying it. Similarly, prana. It cannot be prana because when we are asleep, prana vayu is continuing, but it cannot know. That means it cannot be jnata. And mana and buddhi and ahankara. We definitely use a lot of sentences like Mera man bahut kharab hai aaj. Meri buddhi bigad gayi thi. We talk like that. I had lost my mind. I had lost my intelligence didn't work at that moment. We say that. And then we also say that, I am a very egoistic person. Who is saying this? That is the Vedanta's question. If you are the ahankara, how can you talk about your ego that I am a very egoistic person? You're saying this. I have a very bad ego. My ego is very short-tempered. It has a very bad mood problem, right? So there is somebody else. Who is that guy? Similarly, if you put together all this, can that be Atma? That is also refuted. If there are 5 logs of wood, you bring them together. Will that become conscious? You have 5 body parts of a doll. You put them together. Will that become conscious? No. You can have a robot, but still that will not be conscious. That will be programmed. And therefore, even this Jada Varga together cannot be Chaitanya, Sachetana. And then these Purvapakya, the doubter, can ask this question. But when we say Chaitra knows Maitra, Ram knows Sita, if we talk like this, Whom does Ram know? Does he know Sita Chaitanya? He knows the body only. So by Atma, why can't you accept that the physical form is very important? He says, yeah, very good. I have no problem. He knows the body. He knows the body as a Jada Vishaya. But the Chaitanya Swarupa, who is knowing, that is beyond this. And then similarly, and he sort of says the Atma is the seer of the eyes, the hearer of the ears, the smeller of the nose, or the smelling ability, right? So that is what this Sriti mentions. And then he sort of accepts it and explains it further, further, saying that, okay, but I cannot ever see that Kshetrajna, who is he? I am Kshetrajna, this guy is Kshetrajna. I cannot see this. You're talking about some Atma, but I cannot know it, right? So why did you, then he's saying that that means Kshetrajna is not there. Okay, then he sort of, then that is also kind of refuted, saying that, look here, who is not there, you are saying? Kshetra is not there or Kshetrajna is not there? Please remember, this is a very critical argument of Vedanta. Atma kaun hai, hum dekh nahi pa rahe hain. Guruji bata rahe hain. The teacher is explaining. Kaun nahi hai tumhare man mein sawal hai. Who do you think doesn't exist? Kshetra or Kshetrajna? If you say, yes, I see the Kshetra, then in order for Kshetra to exist, there has to be somebody conscious to describe it. You say the universe exists. Who is saying this? There is a knower. Without a knower, the universe cannot exist. Please think about it. To be able to make a statement that this is a universe, there has to be some consciousness. That's what Vedanta says. Who will make sense of this universe? Who will describe this universe? This whole statement will become futile. Because in philosophy, if you are making a proposition that this is a pencil, this is not a pen, okay? This is a manufactured pencil. If I'm saying this, then you are saying it is different from a pen, this is different from a book. These are certain characteristics which describes this as a pencil. And what is the proof? I can see it. It works as a pencil, okay, fine. But the Vedanta says what is the most primary in this argument? The primary argument is there is a karta or there is a jnata who is describing this as a pencil. Without that agency, without that particular knower, that this is a pencil sentence will become faulty. It will become fruitless. It will become meaningless. You cannot say there is a sun and there is a moon if there is not a jnata. There has to be a knower. Without this knower, without that Chaitanya, Sachetana Vyakti who talks about it, no statement makes any sense. Okay. There is one question which is asked as a quiz to students. If there is no language, what will happen to the universe? Think about this question. This is slightly twisted Vedantic question. They said, if there is no language, what happens to the universe? The standard reply is, from a good student, there shall be no universe. Why? That there is a universe, that sentence requires use of language. Universe word has to be used, isn't it? If there is no language, what do you mean? That means there is no consciousness, there is no language. All philosophy is mediated. What is mediated? There is a medium through which this becomes available to us, through language, through thoughts. Available to whom? There is an agency, there is a knower. So if the knower is not there, language is not there, then what happens to reality? That is the question. Similarly, he's saying, kiska abhav hai? Kshetra ka ki kshetrajna ka? If you say there is no kshetrajna, accepting that kshetra exists, the Vishwa exists, will be rejected, cannot be defended. That is one standard argument. Number two, you will say, no, there is no kshetra. There will be no kshetra. If I argue like this, nahi, kshetra nahi hai. Then obviously this pratyaksha virodha, you see everything, how can you say there is no kshetra? You are experiencing through your eyes, a lot of things are there before you. So that is how he is refusing to accept both, and the Vedanta explains the way the sun appears. The sun appears in its own light, it lights up the whole universe. Similarly, the Atma, the consciousness, lights up the universe in the sense it describes the universe. That is how he's explaining. And if you don't accept it, Then you will like say that, if there is no sun, if there is no Atma, what will happen? Without a sun, what happens to the sansar? It all dark, nothing is visible. You cannot separate a tree from the river. If there is no light, how will you be? You cannot touch around the whole universe and describe it? No, there has to be some light. Similarly, without that consciousness, nothing can be described. So far, we had done. Okay. And there was this question from Satyalaji. That question was that when I am taking a glass of water, who is taking it? Is my body not involved? Is my body not enjoying the taste? I'm drinking a glass of lassi. It's a very hot summer afternoon, extremely hot and humid, and I'm having a dehydration problem. I'm about to have a sunstroke. And then luckily somebody offers me a couple of glasses of very tasty buttermilk or lassi, and I gulp it. And I'm so relieved. Who is experiencing? Is it the Atma or the body? No, then we have no problem. The body experiences it and enjoys it. Because we will finally say that all these experiences are actually of the Sanghata. Because that Atma, that Jnana is so refined that it is a witnessing. It is that Sakshi Chaitanya. It just watches things. It doesn't participate in anything. That is that Kutasa thing. So Vedanta will not challenge what you are saying. Vedanta will say absolutely there is no problem. The body-mind complex enjoys the lassi on the summer afternoon. It feels very good. The Atma is just watching. It's that background. Okay? It's that background thing. It is not affected by any of these things. Like the film screen is not affected by any love song. Boy and a girl are dancing and singing together. The film screen is not excited about it. Similarly, there is a fight. The film screen is not angry about it. It is just holding the whole thing without being in any way in connection with whatever is happening in that projected film. It's like that. Okay. Now this defense lawyer or this person who has a few questions is asking, what about Chidabhasa? Chidabhasa, you know what, in Vedanta, Chidabhasa. Now it's like they're saying that Suddha Satta Swarupa, that Brahman consciousness, gets reflected in us. That Aham Pratyaya, that I am X, that you are X. We have our individual consciousness. This Chidabhasa, or that reflected consciousness, like you can say that mental framework that each of us have, which is different from each other, that is the knower, isn't it? That subjective mind that all of us have individually. By arguing like this, he will refute the Advaita thing. Dvaita thing will be proved. That means all of us are different from each other. Vedanta doesn't want to accept that fundamentally we are different. No, we are different, yes. Because of our own punya papa, we are different from each other. We have different life experiences, but we are by nature not different. I mean, that is the only argument. Man and woman may look different. Women have the ability to bear children. Men don't have that ability. Women's voices are different. Body looks different. These are all there. But the Vedanti will not accept that we are fundamentally different from each other, because we are all one thing which is split into many things. That we'll do in the verse number 2. We'll go there. So this is saying, Nanu Chidabhaso Astieva Pramata. Why can't you accept that Chidabhasa, that reflected consciousness here, is the knower, the Pramata. Pramata is the knower. Prameya is the known, the Jnana. Jnana is the process of knowing. Okay? And Jnata, Pramata means Jnata. So he's saying Chidavaso Astieva Pramata Sarva Pramananam Brahmanya Nirbodha iti chet. If I say that this Pramata is the Chidabhasa, the reflected consciousness which is in me, then the Siddhanti, the Vedanti says, no, don't talk like this. Why? Tasyapi Bikari Antarpatitvena Sarvajnatva Anupapattehe. If you accept the Chidabhasa as Atma, what is Atma? It is Sarvajna through Tattvamasi. The Atma, which is our mind. If I confuse the Atma as my mind, Atma, mind is Alpajna. It is not Sarvajna. But for Vedanti, the Atma is Sarvajna, Sarva Vidyaman, Sarva Saktiman. How do you equate the Chidavasa, which is a parichinna thing, it is a broken up thing, limited thing, with the aparichinna, paricheda sunya, that is Atma, that is absolute Brahman. How can you equate both of them as one? Therefore, he says, Sarvajnatva anupapattehe. The Sarvajnatva cannot be proved, which Upanishads say that Suddha Satta Chaitanya Sachidananda Rupa knows everything. If you say the individual mind, Chidavasa, the individual, that subjectivity, that Chidavasa, actually reflected consciousness is the knower, there will be a lot of problems because it cannot be Sarvagya. Plus, it is also Vikari, it is not a Nitya. Then he's saying, then Antakarana Vikarehi Sardham Kshane Kshane Vikritim Gachatah Chidavhasasyapi Vikaritvat Tadbhava Anusaritvatsa Jagratadi Avastha Swasya Sarvasya Vyavaharasya Vijnana Ayoga. What he's trying to say is that if you say this Chidavhasa is the Atma, what are the problems? Chidavhasa Atma nahi ho sakta. That is a reflection of that Param Brahma thing in all of us. So we appear as all conscious beings. We have the feeling of Ahankar. I am doing this, I am doing that, I am a Bhokta, I am Karta. All this thinking we have, not a problem. That cannot be the Atma. Why? He's saying, first thing, that when we are in Jagrata Avastha right now, we are having Anubhava of our Jivana, of the Sansara. When we are asleep, we see dreams. When we are in deep sleep, we don't sleep dreams, but we have a Sukha Nidra. When we wake up, we say, oh, what a lovely sleep we had. That means there was someone to experience that lovely sleep, isn't it? There was some Karta, which is there, that Kutastha. That is the Atma who is there through all three states, Jagrata, Sopana, and Susupti. This Chidavhasa almost becomes a null point. It goes to a Vijavastha during that particular thing. That Vijnanamaya Kosha, even if you equate the Chidavas with the Vijnanamaya Kosha, combination of Manomaya, Vijnanamaya Kosha, or whatever, if in deep sleep it is not, it is not evidently active. There is no evidence that it exists. It doesn't do any work. It knows nothing. So there is a failure there. That is what he's saying. And then he's saying, number two, it all the time follows the vikaras, whatever you are undergoing. And that Chidavasa behaves accordingly. Sometimes it's happy, sometimes it is sad. So there are a lot of, highs and lows in the way Chidavasa behaves, whatever it experiences. Okay? And then it cannot have that vijnana of the all three states of a human being. Then again, there is another doubt which is coming up of the challenger, of the doubter. A bright student, he has a few doubts. He's saying, Acha ye bataiye, aapne Tattvavad, Atmavad, we have studied in these books that during the Jagrat Avastha, we refer to that as Virat, that Atma appears as Virat. We call him Vishwa, right? That Vyasti and Samasti. What we call Jagrat is the Vyasti level, individual level. Samasti level, we call that Virat. Similarly, we also have the Tejas, right? We also talk about the Tejas Avastha, that is the Swapna Avastha. And then at the highest level, we also have the Pragya Avastha, Susupti, that Pragya. Why can't we take the Vishwa or the Tejas or the Pragya, which are different states of consciousness, as the knower? That is the Jnata. Is there any problem with you? Why can't I take the Abhimani Purusha of these, the Abhimani Devata of these three states as the knower? Do you have any problem? He laughs. He says, no, that is also not possible. Why? He's explaining, no. Kshetrajna anekatva prasangat. We have said Kshetrajna is only one. That will come in the next verse. Etad yo vetti tam prahu. Tam is to him. Tam prahu. Kshetrajna. That means there is one thing called Kshetrajna. So Kshetrajna is what? Singular here. Is it a plural? Kshetrajnaha. Is it talk like this? No. Grammatically, it's one singular person. So there will be anekatva, then Kshetrajna or the Paramatma will become multiples, which we don't accept. Anekatva prasangat. Etad yo vetti iti ekavachanena. Because Bhagavan in the verse said, what? Etad yo vetti tam, the one who knows. To him we say is Kshetrajna. Iti tadvidaha, the intelligent people who knows is Kshetrajna, and but they know the science about Kshetrajna Viveda and Ekatva. They are the ones who have told it, basically the experts in the Shastras. Iti ekavachenena Kshetrajna ekatva sravanad abhimanasya, because of this Vishwa and Taijasya and Pragya, these are the abhimanis. Vikaritvat, because they all undergoes vikaras. This the Jagrat becomes Swapna, and then Tejas, and that will again become Pragya, and during deep sleep. Jagrat adi avastha abhimanavatam, because they are having that identification in these three states, and that is how that consciousness is called Vishwa or Tejas or Pragya. Vishwa adina vikaritvena, and they undergo changes, right? The names also keep changing depending on what they are doing. Jagravastha, it will be called Vishwa. Sleep, it will be called Tejas. Deep sleep, it will be called Pragya. Nityatva asambhavat, though they are not Nitya, why? They are becoming anitya, changing in nature. Ekasya avastha tritya jnana anupapattehe. And therefore, जागृत अवस्था का जो अभिमानी देवता है, स्वप्न में क्या हो रहा है उसे नहीं पता होगा. जो स्वप्न का अभिमानी देवता है या कॉन्शियसनेस है, जागृत में क्या होगा पता होगा. जो स्वप्न में आप सपने देखते हैं, दिन में क्या हो रहा है आपको पता रहता है. इन स्वप्न यू आर अ ब्यूटीफुल गर्ल और यू आर अ हैंडसम पर्सन and you are sleeping. In the dream, what are you seeing? You are a tribe, you are a, you are a very primitive forest dweller, and you are living with few wild animals, and you are eating meat which you have burnt in fire. You just see a dream like that. So you are not none of that. You have already completed your degrees and everything, but you had some exam anxiety. Okay, I saw that dream a couple of times. So your exams are over a long time, but you are still, when you're going to sleep, you sometimes see that dream that you have the exam tomorrow. You have already completed your course. But you see that means that dreaming self is not aware of the fact that you have already completed all your course. Exam time is over, half of your life is over, but it is seeing the dream that is going to take exams tomorrow. You might suddenly dream that you are a teenager and you are playing in a match in which you are losing, and you are very angry with your teammates that they are not cooperating with you, and you are a 13-year-old. And that's long back. That means the Swapna Purusha who dreams doesn't know about what is happening in reality. Similarly, when you are doing anything in reality, in the Jagrat waking state, do you know what dream you are going to see tonight? That will be completely different. That Abhimani Purusha, that ego self which is dreaming, is per vasanas, and there are a lot of scientific reasons as to why the way you see things the way you see. There are indications of some future. They do a lot of dream analysis, even from spiritual point of view. That is a different issue. The truth of the matter is that that particular agency who is dreaming is a different individual between the one who is doing any work during the waking state. When that person again is in deep sleep, he's enjoying his deep sleep. He doesn't care about what is happening, whether there is a fire, whether your wife or husband is angry with you, whether children are angry with you. Do you care? No, you are in deep, good sleep. Nobody dares to touch you. Mama or Papa is sleeping, don't disturb. That is what they talk about, isn't it? So you don't care. And that person is enjoying deep sleep. He doesn't know what you had dreamt. He also doesn't know that you have to catch a bus. So sometimes you wake up and you have missed your flight. It's quite possible, isn't it? So therefore he's saying that Tritya Jnana Anupapattehe, that is difficult. Yo Jagaram Annobhuvam Yah Sopnam Adrakhyam Yah Sukham Aswapsam So Aham Tishtami Iti Avastha Jnatur Vishwadibhyo Bhinnatva Avagamat Tesam Abhikaritvam Nityatvam Cha Na Siddhyati. So this is a sentence taken from one of the Upanishads where they're saying that particular sense, that particular self who during Jagrat Avastha, during waking state, experiences the world, and sees dreams, and then has a happy sleep. He is that individual thing during that avastha cannot have a holistic experience of what you pass through during all three states. And therefore, he is neither avikari nor nitya. Tad asiddhau avastathriteya jnanam cha na siddhyati. So he cannot know he cannot have a fuller knowledge of all three states. That is what he's saying. अतः तेभ्यो भिन्नो अविकारी नित्यः चेतनः एकः चेतनश्च क्षेत्रश्च क्षेत्रस्य सर्वस्य अपि ज्ञाता क्षेत्रज्ञ आत्मा एव इति सिद्धम्. That is what the Vedantic thing finally proves, that that particular thing which is एक है, वो आत्मा एक है. Number one, नित्यः च एकः, नित्यश्च एकश्च चेतनश्च. Three things. It is nitya, that means not avikari. Then eka, not many, not aneka. Chetana, that means not achetana, not jada. That is kshetrajna. Kshetrasya sarvasyapi jnata. That knows all the kshetra, all these jada varga, this visaya vastu, that is kshetrajna. And that is what? Atma eva iti siddham. That is what is proved. However, that brilliant defense lawyer has another problem. He comes back with another doubt. He's saying, Nanu, Atmanaha, Kshetragyatvam Astu, I don't have any problem. Atma ko aap Kshetragya kah rahe hain. I don't have any problem. You accept Atma is Kshetragya. However, he has another problem. Astu, Tathapi Ayam iti Swayam Kshetragya Kshetragyata naupalabhyate. Acha. You are saying Atma is Kshetragya. No problem, sir. But Ayam Kshetrajna, this is a dog, this is a bull, this is a person, this is a lady. This jnana we have. We see a person, we describe, this is a guy, this is a lady. Now, even in your case, do you ever know that Atma, that you can have a sentence that I am Atma, I am Kshetrajna, this is Kshetrajna, this is my Atma? Do you have any such experience? Is there any proof? How do you know? What is the proof? He's coming back with that same question. Then he's being answered. Then he's saying, Katham, then he's saying, you cannot get it. Why? Tat katham iti ched uchyate jnanam jnatra antarabhavat tad upalambha bhavaha. Why you cannot get it? Because who is knowing Atma? You. Who is trying to describe this is my Atma? It is you. Who is the Atma? It is you. So what the Vedanta is saying, Atma hai. Atma aapse alag nahi hai. Ye mera Atma hai. Kaun keh raha hai? Aap. Aap kya hai? Aap hi Atma hai. तो आप अपने को अपने से अलग करके कैसे देख सकते हैं ताकि आप कह पाएंगे ये मेरा आत्मा है जिसको मैं देख रहा हूं. Is that possible? That is his question. Vedanta is asking. When you're yourself, how are you able? How can you be able to describe yourself as this is myself, as if that self is different from you, because you are that self. So this particular self, that Sarvajna, that Kshetrajna, is not different from you. But that you is not Chidabhasa, that you is not your mind or your manas or your dream or your body or your emotion. That has been refuted. That means what? You are not your body, you are not your mind, you are not your emotions, you are not your actions. Who are you? Vedanta says it takes some time. It's not so easy. You have to study the Upanishads. You are what doesn't have any name and form, and when all the adjectives have dropped off, what remains is you. That means what? It's like you have to have a deeper understanding of you. You know, that is how Buddhists will talk or Zen guys will talk. How do I have a deeper understanding of reality? He will say, okay, remove all the shallow ideas you have about reality. What remains is the deepest understanding of reality. That is how they will talk. Similarly, the Vedanta says, You remove your ignorance, what remains finally is that your consciousness that you are. And what is ignorance? You'll have a long list, all your emotions, all your past, all your identifications, all your feelings about agency. I am this, I want to have this, all this, the whole sum total of what you describe as you and your universe. Drop those impressions and see your pure reality, and you will love it. You don't need anything else. That is what he's saying. Atha atma ghatadivat na jnana vishayah. This atma cannot be like this pencil, okay? The atma is not like this pencil. You are the atma, and you are talking about atma. So you can talk about it, but you cannot describe it the way we're describing the pencil, because you are verily yourself. And he's quoting from a few Sastric sources. Then he's saying, look here. Kshetra antara abhyupagame, if you accept Gyantri antara abhyupagame, if you accept that this is different from the Gyanta self that you are, that particular Kshetrajna is different from you, the Gyata, then Anavastha Prasanga. Why? See, I am the Gyata. And you all say Kshetrajna is what? Kshetrajna is what? It's actually different. If I talk like this, then to know the Kshetrajna, you need another Gyata. To know that Gyata, you need another Gyata. So there will be Anavastha dosha. That is called Anavastha. So there is an eternal regression, and you cannot reach any logical conclusion. And therefore that knowledge cannot be accepted. And then Kshetrajnasya ayam iti jnanatve. And if I can describe this is my Atma, this is the Gyata, this is the Kshetrajna, then what happens? Kshetra bhava apatya kshetrajnatva hiyate. Then there will be no difference between Kshetra and Kshetrajna. I am describing this as a pen. So this is the Kshetra, I am the Kshetrajna. This is an object, I am the knower. And if I can also describe the Atma like this, then the Atmatva of the Atma will be reduced to that, like what you say when you talk about a pen. It will be, there will be no distinction between Kshetra and Kshetrajna, nor and the knowable object. There will be no difference. That is also another argument he's giving. Then he's quoting from the Sritis, Eko Devaha, that in Bhagavad Gita we have studied earlier. And then Eka eva sakshihi so prakasa iti ajo nityaha saswataha. These are some of the Upanishadic sentences. Eka eva sakshihi so prakasa. That Atma is the witness self, and that is one only. So prakasa. It doesn't require a torchlight. There is no one else which will describe this as Atma. It is self-evident. If you find another person who declares the Brahman is Brahman, then the question will be, who will prove the presence of that particular Chaitanya? You will require another Brahman, then another Brahman, then again Anavastha dosha. The Brahman cannot be, then it is so prakasa. It describes itself. There is nobody else to declare its presence. It's so prakasa, one only, Sakshi Chaitanya. Ajo nityaha saswataha. Without a birth, nitya means without change, saswata, all the time there. Ityadi Shruti Virodha Prasaktescha. If you say that I can describe this as my Atma, then Nitya, Aja, Saswata, all these words will no more fit there. So there will be some problem, contradiction with what the Upanishads say. Ataha Atma Ghatadivat na Jnana Vishayaha. हाँ, आत्मा है. घोड़ा, गाड़ी, हुइसिल, पुरुष, नारी, जिस तरह से हमारा ज्ञान का विषय बनते हैं, इससे हमारा ज्ञान का विषय वस्तु आत्मा नहीं है. Why? It is not different from us. It is the Jnatri Vishaya. So we cannot say that it is different from us and therefore we can narrate it. That is what simply they're saying. Now, you see, the student is very intelligent. So he has a very powerful question. Listen to this. He's saying, Nanu, तरति शोकम आत्मविद. लेकिन उपनिषद कहता है आत्मा को जो जान लेता है दुख से मुक्त हो जाता है. तो एक सेंटेंस है ना, आत्मा को जो जान लेता है, तो आत्मा ज्ञान का विषय है नहीं है. You are saying I cannot describe I am Atma Mamaha, I am Mama Atma. You cannot describe this. Okay, I don't fight with you. But tell me why Upanishads say Sokam Tarati Atmavid, the one who knows the self overcomes this ocean of ignorance, ocean of pain and unhappiness and drudgery, whatever you call it, this life. So Tarati Shokam, this sadness, this misery, he overcomes it. Who? Atmavit. So what have you described? What does the Upanishad mention? Atmavit, the one who knows the Atma, right? So it is Jnana Vishaya. Like I am looking at this pen, the kalamam. So kalamavit or pustakam, I am pustakavit. I know this pustaka. Sastravit, I know Sastra. Similarly, Atmavit, so I know Sastra. Atma must be there to be known. What is the problem? Then he's saying Atmavit. Iti Atma Vedanavataha, the one who knows the Atma. He's a Vedanavan. Vedana is knowledge, knowing. That is how in different languages you say Vedana. Vedana is not sadness. It is wrongly mentioned in some languages where the Vedana is pain. Vedana is experientially experience, that feeling, that pratyakya. So, iti Atma Vedanavataha Shokataranam. You overcome sadness. Shruyate, Upanishad mein hai. कथम अयम अस्मि इति आत्मनि अविज्ञाते शोकतरणं विदुषः ज्ञातव्यः सिद्धेत. You tell me, if you are saying ayam atma iti na ज्ञातव्यः, I cannot know like this, that this is myself, then tarati shokam atmavit, without knowing the atma, who will overcome the sadness, the ocean of sadness? Then again he's saying kathamiti ched uchyate. If you ask these questions, you will explain. Sorry. Ato ayam atma katham jnayate iti ched. So how do I know this atma? That atmavid has to be there. So Upanishad mentions about atmavid. So you have got atmavid. Now give me the proof how he got to know the atma. Then Vedanti answers. Shrautena eva jnanena atma jnatavyaha. So by listening to Upanishads, you will read certain sentences which will tell you what is Atma. That's all. It will tell you about Lakshanas, about what is Atma. Ajo, Nityaha, Saswataha. All these sentences are there in the Vedas. By reading those Shastras, you will know what is Atma. When it comes to actual knowing, you are no different from Atma. So there will be no words and sentences once you reach there. As a preparatory ground, you will know as a Paroksha Jnana from classes, Vedanta classes, or from teachers or from texts. That is the only way. Once we have Brahma Jnana, we will not exist as individuals. That is end of existence as individuals, because we will be no different from Suddha Satta Swarupaha. Shrutena va jnanena atma jnatavyaha. Tat katham? Kaise aise hota hai? He's asking. How does that happen? Tell me. Ched uchyate. Then I will explain you. Haven't you read in the Upanishad? What does it say? Na anta pragyaha, na bahi pragyaha, na ubhaya pragyaha. So na anta pragya hai. Antar janne wala nahi hai. It's not bahi pragya, knowing outside world. No, it's not that self. It knows inside and outside. No, it's not that also. Na pragyana ghanam, na pragyaha. Neither pragyana ghana, nor oppose pragyana ghana. It is mentioned at another thing. But it's all refuting everything. And finally, what? He's saying adrishtam. It is adrishtam. There are certain lakshanas are given of the Atma. And then avyavaharyam, you cannot use it. Avyavaharyam. Agrahyam. Agrahyam means through senses you cannot reach. This indriya grahana yogya padat nahi hai. It is not something which you can reach through your senses. Or lakshanam, you cannot have any definition of what Atma is. These are imperfect definitions, these words and all. They are not the best way to describe what Atma is. And achintyam, you cannot meditate on it. You cannot think about it. Why? Because it's avang manasho gochara. It cannot be the vishaya vastu of your vak or your manas. It's beyond that. Then, achintyam or bepadeshyam, you cannot have the best advice. It cannot be advised. Atmagyan koi kisko nahi de sakta hai. It can only be what is written in the text, but actual Atmajnana, you have to experience it yourself. Or Vyapadeshyam, Ekatma Pratyasaram. So you will have that Ekatma Pratyaya, that is the summary of it, that is the nectar of that Ekanta Pratyaya. You will have that Jnana yourself. Prapancha Upasamam, and then all this Prapancha is what Vistara of the Sansara. Your Avyakrita has become Prapancha means basically Vistara, the expansion. Expansion is Dukkha, Sukha, Papa, Punya, Jada, Chetana, all this Prapancha. Upashamam comes to an end. Shantam, then you have peace. Sivam, Subham. Sivam is Subham. Auspicious, Advaitam, there is only one thing. Then Turyam, that is Chaturtham. Turyam means Chaturtha, that Turyavastha. Manyante, Sa Atma Sa Vigneya. That is what you should try to know. It is saying it is Achintya, then it is saying it's Sa Vigneya. Isn't there a contradiction? That is what Vedanta is all about. Each sentence, there will be some apparent contradiction, but you have to go deeper to realize that the contradiction is not real. There is something deeper which is being indicated to us. And then what? Vigya iti srutya na anta pragyam ityadina tejasa vishwadivyo bhinnatvam. So that tejasa, that swapna, seeing the dreaming person, and the jagarat person, waking state, the person, the mind of the waking state, the mind of the sleeping state, the mind of the dreaming state, all these are different from that Atma. Atma is different. Tesam anatatmacho pratipadya. So they are all anatma. They are not Atma. That Sakshi Chaitanya is Atma. Pratipadya. Adrishtam iti aham adi sarva drishya bhinnam. So whether it is ahankara, whether it is aham, whether it is mana or buddhi or anything, that yourself is different from all that. Okay? What you describe as you, that I am a man, I am an Indian, I am this, I am that, that Atma is different from all that. Bhinnatvam avyavaharyam iti. Why it is avyavahara? Why can't we make use of it? Karmendriya avishayatvam. Like, for example, through your leg, you can cross over 5 meters. Can you walk over Atma? 5 meters of the Atma, can you cross over? No, it is not a physical thing. You can hear sound. Can you hear the Atma? No. Neither the Jnanendriyas nor the Karmendriyas are of any help. You cannot do anything. You cannot make use of your Atma to achieve anything. You can take your body somewhere. You can take your mind somewhere. You can take your buddhi somewhere. Atma, you are helpless. It's beyond you. That is what it is saying. It's much beyond you. Karmendriya avishayatvam agrahyam. What is agrahyam? Indriya agrahyam. Indriya agocharatvam. It cannot be the Vishaya Vastu, cannot be the object of knowledge of your senses. Right? And then agrahyam. Jnanendriya avishayatvam. Right? That is also refused. Then alakshanam. What is alakshanam? It's beyond all definition. Alakshanam iti anumana agamyatvam. Anumana agamyatvam is what? Like, for example, you look that there is a boy and a girl, a husband, wife, they are fighting. Okay, so there are some loud altercation. They are in a car. You certainly saw that there is a bit of something is going on. Okay, what do you guess? Maybe they are upset about their child's education. There is some problem, or maybe there is an altercation between these in-laws families. What to do? Some other issue, or maybe there is some family issue is there. Maybe the health issue of the child, or maybe some property issue. There is some issue because of which there is some altercation. That is your anumana, that there is some problem in their family. Whatever little, they have something. So there is an argument going on. It could be where the baby will be admitted, a son or daughter will be admitted, or anything. Some issue is there. That is your anumana. You cannot do all that about Atma. That is what I am saying, that this is that you cannot do any, there is no lakshya which you can reach by doing any kind of inferential logical work as you do in Nyaya. Anumana agamyatvam achintyam iti manasho api agachoratvam, because avang manaso gojato vaso nivartante, it goes, the mind goes and comes back, right? That is what it mentions. Aprapya manasasaha, goes and rebounds from there. So that is what he's saying, that it is beyond being a subject matter of your jnanendriyas or even the mind. Abhyapadeshyam, it cannot be advised. What does it mean? Vag avishayatvam. You cannot narrate what is the Atma. How do you do any upadesha to somebody? You must have some language with you, isn't it? If you are a good counselor, they give you a lot of teaching to do any counseling. So they will tell you how to behave, how to create comfort with the person who comes to you. All these things are taught to you. If you are an HR person, you want to fire somebody, the HR people are trained how to fire a person. You will finalize their deals the very same day, help whatever, there are some guidance which they give you how to deal with that kind of a situation. So you have in your repertoire, you have some language and you have some words, some sentences to use in order to achieve that result. With Brahman, it's beyond words, beyond all definitions. So even if you want to advise, Vedanta is all about you will go to the Guru Upasadana, he'll tell you Upanishad and everything, but tell you these are a very imperfect way of dealing with something. In a certain way, I would tell you, it's like homeopathy to deal with cancer. It's like a paracetamol for cancer. Very honestly, because you might go on doing it, but unless there is a person already very advanced, these things virtually take you to a certain distance, that's it. It might take several births. So the abhyasa is very important without losing any importance. We have heard about that story, right? In chapter 6, this bird who wanted to frighten the ocean to get its eggs back. They said, "Main tumhe sukha dunga." Then Garuji came and that's how Bhagavan helped. So Ishwara Prasada is very important, but it's not Bhag Visaya or Visayatvam. Ekatma Pratyaya Saram iti Chideka Rasatvam. What is Ekatma Pratyaya Saram? What is that Ekatma Pratyaya? What is that experience, that knowledge, that jnana, that satta swarupa, which is Ekatma Pratyaya Saram, is saying that is Chideka Rasatvam. That is that purity, that nectar, that amrita of pure consciousness. Think about a consciousness. We have already done that in chapter 6. We have, if you cross even the savichara, nirvichara samadhi, you have that hitamara prajna, you are very close to experiencing that thoughtless awareness. But here, even if it is further up, there is no awareness of anything. There is that pure consciousness. And it's like the most intense. I mean, very honestly, I'm just reading, right? And I have also sporadic experiences. But that complete experience, I haven't had, let's accept it. So that particular thing is for the Shastra, is that particular thing, if you reach, is for Kashmiri Shaivism, if you reach there for a few seconds, your life is transformed. And Vedanta says that once you go there, like you see, it's Purusha, it's not Purusha Tantra, it is Vastu Tantra. Like you see the ocean, you cannot then believe that there is a playground once you have seen the ocean there. Similarly, once you have seen Atma, you don't forget it. You never lose that consciousness. It always stays with you. That is what is that moksha happens. Otherwise, you will go there and come back. That is yoga. That is not Vedanta. Yoga is Purusha Tantra. The more you do Abhyasa, you will go there. Abhyasa stops, you will come back. Vedanta is the only thing which sort of train your mind to think in a different way. So your understanding changes so slowly but steadily that then you can't come back once you have changed your understanding. So the Vedanti makes very slow progress, but it's very solid progress. There is no turning back and again and again. In yoga, there is no understanding. So you can sit in meditation, you'll go to a very high state, you stop doing that habits. After 6 days, you are back to normal. Whatever you're doing, you'll start doing again. Once you are in a Vedantic path, the very understanding undergoes change. That is what he's saying. Chidekara Sattvam, Swagata Veda Rahityam. So these are all technical terms. Swagata Veda. What is, Brukhyasya Swagata Vedaha, Patra Puspa Phaladitaha. So the tree is different from fruits, flowers, and branches. That is Swagata Veda. You as a human being are different from our hands, our nails, our palms, our arms, right? That is Swagata Veda. The whole is different from parts. That is Chidekara Sattvam. Okay. Actually, the Brahman or the Atma is free from what? Swagata Veda, Sajatiya Veda, and Vijatiya Veda. Swajatiya Veda, why? Advitiyam. There is no second there. Vijatiya Veda, it's only one of its own kind. There cannot be another or anything else. Brahman hai, nahi, Brahman nahi hai, baki ye ghoda hai. Nahi, they cannot be anything else. Is Desha Kala Vastu Paricheda Sunya. Plus is Sajatiya Swagata and Vijatya Veda Sunya. That is what is Atma. That is what he is saying. Swagata Veda Rahityam. Shivam iti Ananda Ghanatvam. Shivam is Shubham. Ananda is all blissful. Lord Shiva when he is meditating. I mean, the smile is very similar between Buddha and Lord Shiva, I find. Ananda Ghanatvam Chaturtham Turyavastha A U Ma Jagrata Swapna and Susupti. What is the next stage? Is Turyavastha. That Turiya means nothing. A lot of people say it's a very yogic state or something. It essentially is referring to that Ardhamatra Sita Devi in Chandi. So that Ardhamatra, if you hit the bell, the cymbal, when the music stops, the sound stops, what do you hear? You hear something in the mind, right? That is that fourth state. So it's beyond O, U, Ma, that Ardhamatra is referring to that Turiya Avastha, fourth state. Manyante sa atma sa vijñāha. That is what you should try to know. Okay. So Turiyatvam sarva drishyasya vailakshanyam cha samyak atmanah pratipadya. So that is what? That Chaturtham iti so abhasa vishwadi tritayam apechya Turiyatvam. So O U Ma Vishwa, Tejas and Apakyam. Beyond that, that is Atma, Turiyavastha. Sarva Drishya Vailakshanyam. Whatever is Drishya is Jada. Remember, whatever is Drishya is also Mithya. Kyun? Only Atma, Jnata is Satya. Jnaya, whatever you know, whatever is Drishya, Jhoot hai. And the argument is Jagat Mithya. Why? Drishyatvat. क्योंकि दिखता है. और उदाहरण क्या है? स्वप्नवत. स्वप्न भी दिखते हैं, सच होते हैं क्या? स्वप्न दिखते हैं, नहीं दिखते हैं, सच नहीं है. तो संसार भी दिखता है, सच क्यों होगा? That is what is the question. Think about it. These are interesting arguments, and I'm not saying that you need to blindly accept them, but the purpose of these is to talk about a foundational unity beyond the multiplicity that we experience during our waking, our dream states. During deep sleep, of course, we don't see anything, but we don't know anything also. That is Vikshepa Rahita, but this is Jnana Rahita also. That is Ajnana Avastha. That is the only difference. There is happiness without Jnana. So you have Ananda, but without Brahma Jnana. In the Brahma Jnana state, you have Ananda as well as Jnana. The Jnana and Ananda are one and the same thing. That is the beauty of that state. Okay, Shivam iti Ananda Ghanatam Chaturtham iti, then we have done it. Samyak Atmanah Pratipadya Sa evam Sarva Drishya Vilakshana. That is different from whatever is appearing. Ananda Ekarasaha Eva Atma Swalakshana Lakhitaha. And it is kind of indicated by whatever, Swalakshana, by its own very nature. So ayam aham ismiti vidvadvihi. So aham aso. He is me, that is me and I am that. That kind of abhinna chetana. Now when you have that, vidvadvihi, that is the wise men. They have swa atmana jneo jnatabhya iti bodhyate. How do you know that? Swa atmana, by yourself. That's what we have dealt a lot of this, right? How do you control the mind? By the mind. How do you know yourself? By yourself. That is what they're saying. Anena shrutena jnanena avidya tatkarya. What is avidya? Ignorance. And what is the cause of avidya? What is the karya of avidya? What is the product of avidya? Sansara. Avidya hai tabhi sansara dikhti hai. Avidya nahi to sansar nahi dikhegi. Because of ignorance, we see so many multiple things. Without ignorance, they will not exist. Tat karya sambandha rahita, and the sansara will become false. That means they will not exist. They will exist, but you will not have any interest. Then you will become sambandha rahitam atmanam swam gyatman. That atma is not Parmeshwar ji upar hai. And cricket bat, they're swinging the cricket bat and walking into the field. These players look up. God is doing something. The Vedanta will laugh. The Vedanta will laugh. Why? Because the Vedanta knows there is no God above. If he is not down, he is not God. He has to be everywhere. Why? Text says Sarva Vidyaman. That omni quality he has to have. He is omnipresent. Why are you looking up? Why aren't you looking at the side? You remember the story of Nanak who had gone to Puri temple and he was sort of lying down with his legs towards the temple. I don't know, true or false, but people talk about the story and somebody said, how can you lie down like that? And he said, okay, मुझे जगह दिखा दो जिस पर जगन्नाथ जी नहीं है. उस side में मैं पैर रख के सो जाता हूँ. Interesting story, because that is a very good Vedantic story. Actually, God is everywhere. Now, Vidwan Sansarat mukto bhavati. The man is liberated from samsara. Okay. Ataha sarvadrishya vilakhanatvam kshetrajnatvam cha atmano lakshanam iti siddham. So now you see, then there is a doubt. Kshetrajna and Kshetra, you are saying there are two things. Then again, Dvaita is coming on. So you have a knower of Kshetra, and then the one who knows the Kshetra is the Kshetrajna. That is what I'm saying. But there will be some doubts, and that will be refuted in the next verse, which is verse number 2. We'll only do Charanam today, and this will take almost, I think, a minimum of 4 days or maybe more days, because there are about 10 pages of, at least how many pages? Yeah, it's almost like 8-9 pages of commentary only on the verse number 2, right? So we will take, I mean, it will take some time. The Sankara Bhashya will be challenging. So let's do Charanam, and then we'll stop and wait for the opportunity to finish it. So, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi sarva khetresu bharata Kshetra Kshetrajnayor jnanam yattaz jnanam matam mama. Please know, Kshetrajnam cha api, that he first said, the one who knows the Kshetra is the Kshetrajna. So Sankhya will say there are many Kshetrajnas. Every Purusha is a Kshetrajna. Vedanti, only one Atma is there. So Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidhi, I am that Kshetrajna. If Bhagavan doesn't say this, what will happen? Arjuna will get confused. Bhagavan says, you are the Kshetrajna. Then Yudhishthira, everybody is a Kshetrajna. Bhagavan is a Kshetrajna. Again, multiplicity is there. Then Ekatva, that Ekarasatvam will be in doubt. So he's saying, Mam Vidhi, know me as Kshetrajna. Sarva Khetresu Bharata. Then again, he brings back the issue of unity. And we will discuss, there will be a lot of doubts here. All your doubts will come in here. I had all those doubts, and I'm sure you will have them. Bhagavan hai ya Jagat hai? That is what he's dealing with here. He is the Kshetrajna in all the Kshetras. Khetresu Bharata. Earlier also he had said that I am in everything, nothing is in me, and I am not in anything, right? He had mentioned that in, if you remember, chapter 7 and 9. Kshetra Kshetra Jnayor Jnanam. Then the Jnana, the knowledge of Kshetra and Kshetrajna. What is Kshetra and Kshetrajna? Yat Tad Jnanam. Matam Mama. That alone is pure knowledge. That, like Sankhya, you have what? Purusha, Prakriti, the Viveda, that Viveka itself will give you, Viveka Khyati will give you moksha at the highest level. Here, Bhagavan is saying something similar, but with a Vedantic twist. We will discuss that. He's saying that knowledge which enables you to see the Kshetrajna and everything, and yet be aware of that knowledge which is able to distinguish between Kshetra and Kshetrajna. And that unifying knowledge of being able to distinguish and see them as one and the same is the only knowledge that matters. That alone will give you liberation. That is alone Brahmajnana. Matam Mama. That is what I want to say. And we'll take up the details tomorrow. It will take 2-3 days, at least 3 to 4 days. So we should, brace for it. So I'm just putting an end to the YouTube. Any questions you can ask?